campaign letter seeks to cast down on
Facebook.
as well as something else.
We are live for today's Mitch Albom show. Kevin Dietz filling in.
All right, everybody. Hello, Facebook. Hello, YouTube. Is YouTube live or is YouTube? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
That's on YouTube. I think it's live. Facebook is live, and we're going to start on WJR here in just a minute.
Yep. Action-packed show today. Lots of political talk on voting, some sports talk. So, pretty diverse show today.
Yeah, we're going to mix it up between politics and sports. A few surprises out there yesterday. Jim was first in today. How are you, Jim?
Negotiating and get an agreement in principle.
We bet big money on who's going to get here first. So I think I had Jim. Dave, you had Clay?
Yeah, I lost.
And Treasury Secretary Steve
There's Clay.
There's Clay.
Hey, you're late. Dave had his.
If you look at the times, they all timestamp at 5:01.
Look, I'm looking at my screen. It says Jim got here before Clay, so I win.
I'm just saying. All right, well. All right.
Dave bet that Clay would be first, and I had the field.
Okay. So,
how are you, Joe?
What do I owe you, Kev?
Voting was good. We'll just keep a running tally of favors here.
Okay, got it. All right, sounds good.
Crisis in Michigan. The pandemic has confirmed and highlighted
Hello,
the
Jim.
nature of these pre-existing inequities caused by systemic racism. COVID-19 is
Clay. Yeah, you let me down. Gosh, man.
Tomorrow they'll be just waiting to hit that buzzer, like boom.
I know.
We'll go double or nothing tomorrow. We'll see.
Clay, you gotta be there tomorrow for me, my friend. Come on.
Human services to make health equity a major goal and require implicit bias training.
So, what were some of the surprises from yesterday, Kevin?
Michigan Secretary of State.
Well, I don't know if it's a surprise. There's a big, out here in Oakland County, Karen McDonald beat Jessica Cooper, which was a big win for Karen McDonald. She had a lot of support, a lot of the endorsements. So it wasn't a huge surprise, but it's a big victory. The prosecutor's office is big. And then Rashida Tlaib just blew out Brenda Jones. A lot of people thought Brenda Jones would would give her a run. It didn't happen.
Oakland County Executive David Coulter has won the Democrat.
David Coulter won. That was close.
Andy Meisner.
Real close with between him and Andy for a long time, and then Dave pulled it out, which was interesting. It's weird thinking about Oakland County Executive without Brooks Patterson's name.
Yeah, I mean, true.
And then that Macomb County prosecutor, they're still counting on the Democratic side. Judge Mary Szyrzanowski. I actually know Mary, but I have a hard time with her name. Jody Swolski. They'll face off Peter Lucido.
FBS school to cancel its upcoming football season over concerns of the coronavirus.
How are you, Joe?
Clayton Neville says the decision has the
good. Thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Football players said in a statement that
hang on the line. We'll get you in a couple minutes, okay?
There'd be challenges presented by the pandemic, but that it's apparent to them now the challenges are impossible to overcome.
All right, your first guest is ready to roll.
Great.
Then we'll have access to team facilities and all support.
Joe's great. He's a real straight shooter.
Session, the Dow was up
cool.
373, the S&P ahead 21. Ken Bergulski, WJR News, the Mitch Albom Show in 2 minutes.
Okay, we got a couple minutes there, then we're going to be coming up.
All right.
Now more than ever, Gleaners is working to make this a hunger-free summer.
Are you ready to do a radio show?
And you can help today.
Yes, we're ready to do a radio show.
Radio with video.
Thanks to a match from Citizens Bank and other generous donors, bringing food to children, families,
okay, coming up. Here we go.
To help. That's hungerfreesummer.org.
Guy Gordon hosts the 2020 WJR Pure Michigan Ag Tour live from Grandpa Tiny's farm in Frankenmuth, August 6th from 3 to 5 p.m. Sponsored by Great Lakes Bay Regional Convention and Visitors Bureau. For more information, visit gogreat.com.
Welcome to Albom in the Afternoon, debut performance on the second day of 1996.
This is an unusual guy, this Mitch Albom.
The Mitch Albom Show! Glad to have you with us both on MSNBC and all across the nation. Kenny Brown.
The most dominant co-host in the game.
Hey, Mitch!
The longest running afternoon show in Detroit radio.
The Mitch Albom Show
Starts now.
Sitting in for Mitch, here's Kevin Dietz.
The votes were cast, and in many communities, they are still being counted as a massive mail-in vote slowed down results. But we do have several big winners and losers. And joining us now to talk about the big day at the primary election is Joe Desano, political consultant. Joe, thanks for being on the Mitch Albom Show.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
So what was the big race you were watching? What was the one you wanted to see what happened?
Well, I think, like everyone else, I was watching the primary between Dave Coulter and Andy Meisner. I don't think the outcome was particularly surprising. I think many folks, not myself, but many folks were predicting a big Coulter victory. And I didn't feel that was really a possibility. But now we get to see Oakland County Democrats get to deal with success, because you had a pretty rough and tumble primary, and Democrats would have to put it all together afterwards. And we'll see how the Democrats handle the growing pains in Oakland County. So that's what I was watching last night, and I think many other people were too.
Yeah, Andy kept it close. It wasn't just a slam dunk victory for Dave, but Dave's been in the seat, so he's had some time doing the job. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out and what that means for Oakland County.
Right, and then over in Macomb County, the prosecutor's race on the Democratic side had a not surprising outcome. In fact, I would say that it was a very strong likelihood that it would happen, that Mary Chardowski, a former judge, would edge out Jody Switolski, who was running for prosecutor on the Democratic ticket.
Yeah, that was fun to watch. Mary's well liked. I'm not surprised at all. It was very close. Did they finally call that race for Mary?
I think all the votes in Macomb County have been counted. I think Mary's the official winner and Democratic nominee here.
So what happens when she faces off against Peter Lucido?
That's interesting, because I think there's going to be a real effort by Lucido to get to the left of Mary. And I should say this, like many folks in Macomb County, it does seem to be a name game here. You had Switolski versus Chardowski, both names that had storied histories in the county in politics, and then all of a sudden you have a situation where Pete Lucido has the ability to get to the left of Mary Chardowski, who has a long electoral history. And I think that's where the angle here is for Pete to succeed.
And then you guys had a surprise out there in Macomb County with Lisa McClain. Tell us about her in the race against Shane Hernandez.
Well, basically, she came from out of nowhere and bought herself a place at the table. Many of the national conservative groups came in and spent over $1 million on her behalf, which created this candidacy. Because I think most political insiders had thought that early on, at least, that Shane Hernandez, the House Republican appropriations leader, would be the candidate to beat. But yesterday, one of the main themes, as we've seen in past election cycles here, the female candidates have a huge edge, especially in Democratic races, although this wasn't the Democratic race.
And did you? I imagine you followed Rashida Tlaib versus Brenda Jones.
I did. And again, not a surprising outcome. You're never going to catch a Rashida Tlaib flat-footed, and you're never going to catch her electorally by a candidate like Brenda Jones, who is not energetic. That being said, the environment was awful, and this is a district where Congresswoman Tlaib will probably get thrown into possibly get thrown into a race with another incumbent. That's the real race that's going on. That's coming up in 2 years.
So, do you suppose President Donald Trump was watching the Tlaib Brenda Jones race?
Oh, but he was definitely rooting for Tlaib. He needs her as a foil. He's a far bigger problem. He's a far bigger problem than Rashida Tlaib.
So what were some of the trends that you saw. What did you think as far as the absentee voting and the impact and voting in person? What was your takeaway from the day?
I would say that if you expect to see election results in November, anytime before Thursday or Friday before the election, you're going to have a very long wait, because last night was really bad. And we should note that Detroit actually was not the problem. All the absentee ballots were counted last night in Detroit in a very timely manner. It was Out County that was lagging. So that's a bit of a different change than what we've grown to expect out of the city of Detroit. And again, I would point to gender. Gender is a huge edge in tight races, and there are people who benefited from that and who are considering themselves geniuses based on the fact that they were just born whatever gender was benefited.
So you're assuming that there's going to be a massive turnout for November then, and that much of it or most of it will be through the mail?
Even if turnout remained on a normal scale, the huge surge in absentee ballot voting would cause a problem. In any circumstance, then you reach a situation where it's probably the safest mode of voting, but also it's so controversial based on just erroneous statements by the president that's really, I think, going to cause him problems along with the rest of the Republicans in November.
And you had Republican Eric Osaki win, and now we'll get a chance to face off against the incumbent Democrat Alyssa Slotkin. Haley Stevens, I'm sorry, in the 11th. Any surprise there? Do you think he has a chance to take on Stevens?
Honestly, I think the Republican Party whiffed on candidate recruitment at the congressional level across the state. In a normal election year, both Haley Stevens and her colleague Alyssa Slotkin would draw top-tier challengers, but they both drew bottom-of-the-barrel challengers, and I think they're both are really great shape to win election in November.
And do you think there'll be a big blue wave then? What do you think is going to happen here coming up in November?
I think Michigan will be contested. I'd be reluctant to call it a wave quite yet, but it's starting to be very reminiscent of the recent waves they've been building, and it's going to be fueled by female voters.
And do you think female candidates are going to do very well then?
I think across the board, female candidates have an edge.
All right. Joe Desano, thanks for stopping in today on the Mitch Albom Show and giving us your take on the big primary. We appreciate you checking in.
Oh, my pleasure. Tell Mitch I said hello.
All right, we will for sure. We're going to take a quick break, and after the break, we got a very exciting guest we're going to tell you about. But first, let's check in with traffic and Michael Stetz.
Thank you very much, Kevin. WJR Traffic First, sponsored by the Generous Pour event at the Capitol Grill. Wine lovers announcing this year's Generous Pour event at the Capitol Grill. For just $28 with dinner, you'll enjoy 7 remarkable varietals from wine enthusiast, winemaker of the year, Dave Finney. Enjoy at the Capitol Grill or in your own home. Call 248-649-5300 or visit thecapitolgrill.com. In the city, an accident on 94 eastbound after Harper Avenue that has the right lane blocked. Your stop and go from Connor Street. In Pontiac, road construction has the left 2 lanes closed on M59 westbound right now between Paddock Street and the Woodward Loop North. That's scheduled through 7 p.m. on Friday. Plan on delays. And in Oakland County, you're moving slowly right now on 75 northbound between 9 Mile and 11 Mile. Now WJR Weather first from the Weather Channel.
76, our beautiful high this afternoon with some sunshine and upper 50s tonight. We'll make the upper 70s tomorrow. I'm meteorologist Scott Laurie, more on News Talk 760 WJR.
Our Inner Circle sponsor, Health Partners Home Care. They
complex healthcare needs. Health Partners Home Care is a state and national leader for 27 years, serving patients with brain.
All right, you're going to join us on this next one,
Waiting
right?
for our next special guest to call in here.
Oh, yeah, let's hope he does.
The PR guy said he checked with him 15 minutes ago, and he was good to go, so
okay,
we'll see. You never know.
They provide statewide service and continue to advocate.
I always like having to call the person, but that did work this time with this, guest. So
Yeah.
Customer service, or if you desire a visit and an interview, please contact John Prosser, who is the partner and vice president of Health Partners Home Care, at 800-969-7723. Health Partners Home Care provides quality customer service with a smile. HealthPartnersInc.com is their website.
Hi, it's Paul W. Over the past few years, I've really enjoyed talking to you about Victor's Roofing. Victor has such a great story. He immigrated to this country as a young boy, started out on a roofing crew at the age of 14. Today, he owns and operates one of the most successful roofing companies in Michigan. They do everything from roof repairs to complete replacements. Victor's big on your roof and roof maintenance right now. And in fact, your roof's just like any other part of your house. It needs upkeep. Victor's Roofing is the exclusive dealer of the best roof maintenance product on the market, Roof
seems
Max.
to be the
It's
Jim
an
and Clay
all-natural
show right now.
rejuvenating oil that
And
rehydrates your
Phil,
shingles and
in
extends
here.
the life of your roof by up to 15 years for just a
All
fraction
right.
of the cost
Phil's
of a
here.
total roof replacement.
2 million ballots went out for absentees, but 1.6 million were returned. And how many returned in late and weren't counted or spoiled because of they split the party? Yeah, there's going to be a lot of questions. People are going to be looking at this before November for sure. I was talking to a friend of mine who works for the Postal Service, and they said they still have ballots that they haven't got delivered yet for the primary that they haven't even got out. So, and they certainly sent way more applications than eligible voters. So there's a lot of
or inside of your home. It's quick, safe, and easy. And
yeah. If you split your ballot in the mail, if you split your ballot in person, they'll negate your vote and have you do it again, redo it. But if you do it in the mail, you just tossed out. So obviously they can't figure that out in 24 hours.
Or commercial. CertaPro can take care of it all. Schedule your free
Well, still no guest. So
CertaPro.com. Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated. They're right here in our community. That's Certa with a C. CertaPro painters, proven and trusted experts in painting.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know
we
me,
got a minute.
it's probably because I'm not
He hasn't
famous.
called in yet.
But I
so.
did start a
All
mental
right,
company
We'll
called
have to cover
Harry's.
until
The
he
idea
calls.
for
We'll
Harry's
chat
was
about that and
experience I had buying
other
racing
things if we have to.
brands were
Yeah.
priced, over-designed, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We
I'm
make
going to
sharp,
go out for a
durable
second
blades
and then
sell them
I'll
at
come
honest
back in.
prices for as
Okay.
low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's. So thank
right,
you
here
if
we
you're
go.
one of them. And if you're not,
Still no good.
get
Still
a
not
Harry
there yet.
starter
Okay.
blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover. All for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter 6655 at checkout. That's harrys.com, code 6655. Enjoy.
Sitting in for Mitch, here's Kevin Dietz.
Stephen Van Zandt is a multi-platinum artist, a producer, songwriter, actor, entrepreneur, and founder of the Rock and Roll Forever Foundation and its techrock.org arts integration program. So he's going to put on this road show, and the next one's going to be in Detroit on Thursday, August the 6th at 8 o'clock. And also joining him is going to be the actor and game show host Drew Carey, who many of us know. And they're going to have some special guests from right here in Detroit, including Motown superstar Martha Reeves. It's going to be her first ever virtual appearance. And she'll also debut a never-before-released pro shot video of her performance of Heat Wave with Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band from back in 2003. Legendary shock rock architect Alice Cooper is going to be in there to discuss his Detroit roots and his recent return to the city to record. So it's going to be a virtual party pretty much. And we're going to bring Dave Rieger in here to talk a little bit about Stephen Van Zandt. You're a big fan, right?
Huge fan of Stephen Van Zandt, huge fan of The Sopranos. And we're just waiting for him to call in.
He was in The Sopranos. What role was he in The Sopranos?
He played Silvio Dante, which was like Tony's consigliere.
Okay. So a multi-talented guy for sure.
Yeah, and he was It's great character, great show. He also has he had a Netflix show for a little while called Lilyhammer, which was kind of he played like a mob boss who like gave turned in his boys and like went to into FBI hiding or whatever, witness protection, I guess. And because he enjoyed the 1994 Olympics, he chose Lillehammer, Norway. So that was on Netflix for a couple of years back for like 3 seasons.
That's cool.
So
Yeah,
they've done a lot of stuff.
Yeah, these road shows are really cool. The idea of them is they go from city to city, and then they really explore that region or that city's music history. And they talk with the musical and cultural influencers of the region, and they explore how arts helped and shaped and defined that city. So they go and find different representatives of each city, and as you watch, you get to know about the different music, the musicians, the artists, and you get to know a lot about the city as well. So if you're watching the Detroit one, obviously you may know a lot of the story, but you'll be surprised what else you find out as you watch it that you didn't actually know.
Yeah, and Clay on the Facebook on the stream says, did he like Nancy or Tanya? That was the Olympics. I think that was the Nancy Kerrigan, Tanya Harding Olympics. So in Lilyhammer. So I think it was 1994.
Yes, it was. That was boy. That day is one I won't forget. Over at Cobo Hall, where the police scanner went off and said there's a attack at Cobo Hall, and police were on their way, and we went over there only to find out that Nancy Kerrigan was hit in the knee with a club. And you remember that video? That why me? Why me? And what an investigation that turned out to be, as they eventually figured out that Tanya Harding's people were buying that.
I think he's here. So hang on.
All right, let's check in and see if we can bring him into the show. All right, Steven Van Zandt, thanks for being on the Mitch Albom Show.
Hey, good to be here.
Yeah, we're glad you're here. So tell us a little bit about this virtual tour and what it means to Detroit.
Well, we're having some fun. We're celebrating different towns, virtually. That's the only way we can get there at the moment. So wanted to make sure Detroit was one of them. And Detroit will be tomorrow, 8 o'clock. And we have Martha Reeves. We have Alice Cooper. We have Wayne Kramer. We have Governor Gretchen Whitmer, Big Gretch. And we got some teachers, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. We're using it as a fundraiser for our music history curriculum at teachrock.org, where we have 200 lessons for teachers to use while they're home. It's great for kids because the parents, very often actually join in on the lessons, because they're all music based. So the parents have as much fun as the kids do.
That's
that's
quite a variety of different kinds of music for the people. How do you choose who you want to have in each city? How did you choose who you wanted for Detroit?
Yeah, well, it's partly, we make a list, but it's partly who's available. We sometimes, it'll be rappers, sometimes it'll be rockers. We don't really, the main thing is to talk about the town and the education that's going on in the towns, high schools and the history of music in the town. And, it's amazing. Every town has a music history, not as extensive as Detroit, of course. Detroit is one of the absolute top towns when it comes to music history. Both between Motown and really the invention of punk rock and hard rock really does come from Detroit. So it's an interesting combination of things. But it's largely sometimes it's people I know. Whoever's phone number I have, that's the first call to get made. And then it's who's available.
How did the first one in Cleveland go?
It was a lot of fun. We had a great time. talking to Alan Freed's son, Lance. You know, we had Michael Stanley, local legend. I'm trying to remember now. It was like a few weeks ago. Of course, we had teachers. We always have teachers talking about what's going on in town. And we had Stevie Cleveland International Records, which was the record label that had Ian Hunter and Meatloaf.
Very cool.
And, you know, we had some cool stuff.
So how did you come up with the idea for this? What made you think we need this out here? Because we do. We're starving for entertainment, and this is some serious headline names.
I know. We're looking to do something online because we're all stuck online now for the foreseeable future. So we're trying to think of something to do. And we said, yeah, let's tie it together with our foundation, with the music history curriculum, and kind of use that as the base. And we'll talk to the local celebrities about what their education was, and what went on and like I say, every town does have a history, so there's always something to talk about. And we're trying to get the local celebrities, the local politicians to talk about it. Should the kids be going back to school or not? Those kind of discussions sometimes come up. I'm very much into protecting teachers and protecting grandparents. I'm not a big fan of kids going back to school right now. I don't think we're ready, but we can enter that discussion a little bit. We don't get too much into politics, but
at Michigan State yesterday, university said, hey, if you have an incoming freshman and you feel comfortable with them staying home and learning from home, go ahead and do it. And you mentioned Gretchen Whitmer is going to be on your show. She just said, there's a lot of questions still to be answered. We'd like students to go back to school, but if the numbers are bad, we're just not going to do it. We're not going to put teachers and staff and kids at risk.
That's it. It's really it's really been such a disaster, from the beginning of this thing, that it's unfortunately the kind of thing you got to catch early. And if you don't catch it early, then it's going to bounce from state to state, and it's hard to see the end in sight at this point. But we're all trying to be optimistic. But I don't like the idea of rushing people back to work, rushing people back to school, just for the sake of the economy. When you're sacrificing people's lives for the sake of the economy, I don't like that idea.
You've had such a varied career. What are you most often asked about on the various things that you've done throughout your career? When fans stop you, what do they usually ask you about?
It depends what's going on at the time. I mean, a lot of people are discovering Lilyhammer now during the pandemic, which they might have missed it the first time around. We had the very first show on Netflix before anybody knew what Netflix was. So a lot of people missed it the first time around. I'm getting a lot of that. A lot of people are rewatching Sopranos. A lot of people are buying. They're finding my Soulfire Live box set from our last tour, and my Rock and Roll Rebel box set. We happened to get 2 box sets out just before the pandemic, and I had never remastered all my old records. So the first time all my records are remastered in the Rock and Roll Rebel box, with 50 extra tracks and the DVDs from my first 3 tours back in the 80s. So the Rock and Roll Rebel box just came out. I'm getting a lot of comments on that.
All right,
the Soulfire tour,
All right, Stephen. Well, we're super excited about August 6th here tomorrow, 8:00. We're going to put a link on our website on how to get there, the virtual roadshow. Hey, thanks for stopping in on the Mitch Albom Show. We appreciate it.
My pleasure, my friend.
All right, take care. Be safe. Let's check traffic with Michael Stetz.
WJR Traffic First, sponsored by Clarkston Window and Door. Over 31 years in business, over 450 combined years of experience installing windows. Trust the specialists at Clarkson Window and Door. Act now to take advantage of 31% off installed windows, doors, and garage doors. 248-338-6781 or clarkstonwindow.com. In Pontiac, road construction has 2 lanes closed on M59 westbound right now between Paddock Street and Woodward and the Woodward.
Oh, you are? Okay. Okay, good.
Delays.
Okay,
That's scheduled through 7 p.m. Friday. And downtown in the city, an accident has the right lane blocked on 94 eastbound after Harper Avenue. Traffic moving slowly from Connor Street. Now, WJR weather first from the Weather Channel. Partly cloudy tonight with a low near 60 degrees. Right now it's 73 degrees. I'm Michael Stetz, WJR News. Next.
Governor Whitmer has signed an executive.
Good job, Kev.
Thanks. You were welcome to jump in.
Yeah, you know what? It would have seemed a little weird to jump in. It would have seemed a little weird to jump in at that point.
That last question, it was a little too open ended there.
Right. So, no problem. You did a great job. He got in about The Sopranos. He got in about Lilyhammer.
Yeah, I thought we were fine.
He got in about all the other stuff.
That's fine too. I mean, just talking a little bit about it.
Yeah,
that's actually pretty cool. I want to figure out how to watch that. Actually, I don't know. I don't know how you find that, but
yeah, I think that. I'm not really. I'm not really sure how you actually go.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we can Google that bad boy and figure it out. Figure out how to. Adolf is on the line.
Yes, yeah. Great. Next guest is ready to go. Yeah, the time did go by a little bit fast on that one. Clay, he called in a little bit late, so then we decided that we could go with him a little bit longer. Then we ran into the bottom of the hour, so then we kind of had to
bail
to get to the news and bail, and then we were late to
trap. We had to fill for about 3 minutes there on the top until he called.
Yeah, right? That's what happens. That's live radio, so you guys get to see a little bit behind the scenes of what happens.
We always want them to call on time so they can have the full time, and then if we have to fill, we'll fill on the end. But filling on the front is tricky because if they don't show up at all, then you're really testing your knowledge of.
It's okay. It all worked out really well. He was really cool.
Yeah, he was very cool.
I didn't think he was really going to get political, and then he decided to get political. So
when he said Gretchen Whitmer was going to be there,
that was kind of interesting. About he doesn't want kids going back to school, and he thinks that this is just this has a little bit more to go. So yeah, pretty cool, especially for a guy that's been around as long as he has been. Yeah. Very cool. The very cool characters. Obviously, plays with Bruce Springsteen in the E Street Band. Obviously has his own band, has his own Sirius radio show, has The Sopranos, obviously, Lilyhammer. So guy's done a lot. Very cool.
Yeah, that's the thing about the this pandemic and being home. You're going back and finding all these different shows. We just started a show this couple of days ago that is in its 5th season, and we're like, in season 1, and we're like, well, this is great, So I may go back and look for. Was it Lilyhammer?
I think Lilyhammer. I think it was 2012 to 2014. I think.
Yeah, he said it was one of the first Netflix shows ever. That's pretty cool.
I think that's what it was because we had looked it up. Apparently he was the first original Netflix show that they ever put on Netflix, which is now booming with original shows and original content. So
that's cool.
Yeah, very cool. I had some facts, some little known facts about him that I was going to bring up, but you did such a good job. There was no reason to jump in. Plus, we were against the clock anyway. So
Yeah, that's why when you get somebody like that, you kind of hope they'll call in on time because there's so many
And
things, and
sometimes
they have
you
all these
wanna-
fans and people like look at. I mean, Facebook.
Right.
People
And
want
sometimes you want to tape the interview too, I guess, sometimes so you can have it. You can ask all the questions you want and then edit it. So we just didn't have the capabilities to do that, but I thought it worked out great.
Yeah.
All right, we're coming back. Here we go.
To provide support and answer questions. And with our Check on My Vet program, concerned friends and family can request a check-in on their veteran. Veterans, you're not alone. No matter how you served or in what branch, we're here for you. Call 1-800-MICH-VET or learn more at michiganveterans.com. Reach out. I did. A message from the Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency.
Sitting in for Mitch, here's Kevin Dietz.
If you're talking politics, especially in the city of Detroit or in Wayne County, the person you want to be talking politics with is Adolf Mongo, a political consultant for decades here in the Motor City, and he joins us now with his take on the primary. Adolf Mongo, thanks for being on the Mitch Albom Show.
Hey, can I pick up my check tomorrow?
Always, you bet. How are you?
Hey, thank you, Kevin.
What did you think of the first election in a pandemic, or at least the first one in recent times?
We have had some good times and some bad times. And the bad times has been in Redford, where Judge Sheila Gibson said that the clerk and her deputy couldn't oversee the election. But then they brought them back, and now they crying fraud in that election and the 10th district state rep.
It's amazing to me how every election there's this side story of something went wrong or somebody is doing something to manipulate what's going on. I don't know the specifics there, but it seems like every election has some sort of problems. One of the problems in this election was that not enough workers showed up to the polls, so some polls weren't open in time. The biggest issue for me, Adolf, is does everybody get an opportunity to vote that wants to? And with this election, it was as challenging or more challenging than many, I guess.
How can Oakland County count over 100,000 votes in a certain time, and the city of Redford, it take a day and a half to count a couple thousand votes? There was a candidate that the Wayne County clerk declared the winner, and then all of a sudden at 3:00 this afternoon, the referee said that she wasn't a winner, and they throw these votes out there. Listen, something is happening, and we're gonna have a real serious problem in November.
There's been many years when we've gone to bed thinking one person won and woke up thinking the other, but to find out about 3:00 in the afternoon the next day is troubling. But they did tell us that because there are so many absentee ballots that came in, and depending on how many people they had assigned to count them and what happened when you open the envelope, it could be very difficult. I mean, you can open up an envelope and you can look at the signature and it doesn't match, or you can have a situation where they voted for Republicans and Democrats and you have to throw the ballot out. I mean, when you're looking, go ahead.
Listen, the bottom line is in Redford, the ballots have been tainted, and if I was the presumed winner, Brenda Hill, who was told by the Wayne County clerk that she won and was congratulated, and only to be told at 3:00 in the afternoon that she didn't win. There's something that's happening. There need to be a state investigation, and there need to be a federal investigation.
Well, that wouldn't be the first time there'd be a legal challenge or a recount. We'll have to let that play out a little bit. But you're worried in November. What you're worried about November because of the volume, the high volume coming in?
There's no question. So if we have a problem right now. Listen, Trump know how to play the game, and it's gonna be a mess. Listen, the city wasn't prepared. The state wasn't prepared for this election.
But do you see this as a dress rehearsal? Will they learn from this and be ready in November, or do you think this is just an indication that we don't know what we're doing?
It's a mess, and the folks is trying to certify this election, and they shouldn't. They need to. They still counting. They still counting the votes in the counties.
So talk a little bit about Rashida Tlaib and Brenda Jones. There was a lot of people thought that was going to be a close fight. But
Brenda Jones was dead on arrival. She should have started last year, and she didn't. Rashida Tlaib, whether you like her or not, she kicked butt. There's no question about it.
So Kim Worthy for prosecutor against Victoria Burton Harris. A lot of people thought Kim Worthy would have, won in a landslide, and she did well for sure. But it was a little closer than some people thought.
Well, I think this is it for Kim. Her last hurrah. We got to ask these young folks. This Victoria Burton Harris. Listen, she did a good job. She lost. And I didn't think she was going to win, but it was a great race. It made Kim answer the question. You got to do right. There's no question. Listen, it was a good race. There's no question. Then we go across 8 Mile Road to Oakland County. Jessica Cooper was retired, whether she wanted to retire or not.
All right. Ada Mago, we're going to have to leave it there. Benny Napoleon won for sheriff. Eric Sabri won treasurer. Bernard Young won the Register of Deeds. So there'll be some people contesting things, and we'll have you back as we look into that Redford situation. Adolph Mongo, thanks for being on the Mitch Albom Show.
Okay, thanks, Captain Dietz.
You got it. Let's check traffic with Michael Stetz.
This report is sponsored by California Closets. Now through August 31st, save up to 20% on any California closet system in one of their beautiful light-colored finishes. Call 248-624-1234 today to arrange your complimentary design consultation or visit them at their Commerce or Birmingham showrooms.
WJR Traffic First, sponsored by Marathon. No matter where your travels take you, Marathon can improve your engine performance with quality top-tier gasoline. Marathon, fueling the American spirit. In Pontiac, road construction has 2 lanes closed right now on M59 westbound between Paddock Street and the Woodward Loop North. That's scheduled through 7 p.m. on Friday, so plan on delays. In Ingham County, an accident has the right 2 lanes blocked right now on US 127 northbound after 96. And in Macomb County, you're moving slowly right now on 696 eastbound between Campbell and DeQuinder. Now WJR Weather first from the Weather Channel.
We're in the 70s this afternoon. Very comfortable forecast here for early August. 76 degrees today and 59 tonight. I'm meteorologist Scott Laurie. More on News Talk 760 WJR.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. If the next step for your business is finding a high-impact hire, try Indeed. Their flexible payment options mean better bang for your buck with no long-term contracts. Indeed will even give you a $75 credit for your first job post at Indeed.com/high-impact. Terms and conditions apply.
Good job, Kev.
We're hanging in there.
Waiting for our next guest to call in here.
All right.
We had a caller who had a question about Rashida Tlaib.
Mm-hmm.
And who's she running against again?
She ran against Brenda Jones.
Brenda Jones, that was it. Brenda Jones.
Yeah. I'm not sure if she'll have a Republican challenger in November or not, but that's such a heavy Democratic district that it's highly unlikely anyone else would give them much of a battle. Brenda Jones is Detroit City Council president for
right.
those who don't know, and she does well with the electorate, and they ran against each other four times in the last 2 years. So because of John Conyers died, and there's a special election, then an election, and they ran again here.
Right.
That's true. So Brenda won one of those.
Got it. Your next guest is on the line.
Great.
Break right now, but we'll be back in a few minutes. Okay. Thank you.
So some of these we're not going to know some of these races we're not going to know for either maybe a couple more days.
Yeah, some of the smaller ones. He was, you get into those small communities, and if they don't have enough people to count, someone's got to open up all those envelopes and see what's inside.
Right. Then they got to match up the signatures or whatever they got to do to verify what's going on.
But that race sounded really close, and but there'll be lawyers to step in and straighten that out. We'll have our own hanging chads in Redford.
Oh, yes. Yeah, there you go. We don't need any of that nonsense that went on there in Florida.
Right.
No, I do remember that. That was nuts. For sure. Was Jeb Bush the governor of Florida at that time when that was going on?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that. So that was also another controversy within the controversy.
Yeah.
Well, because you flew down there for like a couple of weeks, you said.
Yeah, I was down there for almost a month covering that.
That had to have been
we thought that thing would be straightened out in a couple of days, maybe a week. It was like 8 weeks or something.
What was it like covering news back then as it is covering news now? There was no social media.
Yeah, the best part was you really got to focus on your story. People came to watch the newscast, at the end of the day or whatever, and you had time to tell it. You could do a story. You could spend 5 minutes on a story. I spent 15, 20 minutes on stories sometimes if they were really, really good. But now, more and more reporters are going to 2-3 stories a day. Each story is under a minute. So it feels a lot more like headline news than in-depth reporting.
Right.
And then even before I got into news, it was even more. So they had 2 shows a day. They had like a 6 and an 11. That was it. So you had to fight to get your story in. Like you really had to, fight against other reporters. There's more news than time. And now there's 7 newscasts, 15 hours of local news every single day.
Right. You got 4, 5, 6, 10, 11. There's a lot of different newscasts.
Oh, noon, 11:30, 7 p.m.
Yeah. You guys got a lot of stuff to get, a lot of time to fill.
Exactly.
All right, here we come.
For painting the outside or inside of your home. It's quick, safe, and easy.
And CertaPro Painters does a great job. Just ask WJR's Steve Courtney.
CertaPro Painters took excellent care of me. I had some exterior painting done, and they were on top of their game. They provided a custom project plan, firm estimate, and daily progress reports. You can trust CertaPro Painters to get the job done right and safely.
Interior or exterior, residential or commercial, CertaPro can take care of it all. Schedule your free estimate at CertaPro.com.
Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. They're right here in our community.
That's Certa with a C. CertaPro Painters, proven and trusted experts in painting.
Sitting in for Mitch, here's Kevin Dietz.
Well, our friend Adolph Mongo did a nice job of bringing us up to date on what happened in the primary election in Wayne County. Now, joining us is our friend Dennis Darnoy, political consultant, who's going to help us out with the statewide races and what happened in Oakland and Macomb County. Dennis, thanks for being on the Mitch Albom Show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Kevin. I appreciate it.
So a couple big races in Oakland County. Why don't we start with that prosecutor's race? Jessica Cooper losing to Karen McDonald.
Yeah, and losing within the Democratic primary. It's, you don't usually see an incumbent go down like that, but Karen McDonald is one of those prosecutors that had a lot of support from a progressive side of things, and so they were able to successfully take out Jessica Cooper this time, which was definitely a bit of a surprise, but not that big of one.
Jessica Cooper was in office for a long time. Not many scandals that I can remember coming out of Oakland County. A judge before that. Usually the incumbent has an edge, but this time around, Karen McDonald had a message that was resonating with people.
She did, and I mean, one of the things is when you've been in office for a period of time, you certainly get a lot of enemies. And they just happened to coalesce around Karen McDonald this go around. And so, Jessica Cooper probably is a strong candidate for the general, but obviously this time around she didn't succeed in the primary.
She will have a challenger on the Republican side in November, but Karen McDonald will be a huge favorite, right?
Absolutely. The way Oakland County has been trending, and even looking at the turnout numbers among Democrats and Republicans in Oakland County, it is probably going to remain blue this cycle for sure.
Yeah, Lynn Dietz is that Republican challenger. It is interesting. I mean, Oakland County once was very, very Republican, and it hasn't been now for a couple of cycles. Let's talk a little bit about the county executive out there. David Coulter was taking on Andy Meisner on the Democratic side.
Yeah, and again, Coulter had a little bit of the benefit having been the quote-unquote incumbent for a shorter period of time, and certainly was able to, build up a good war chest and build up some chits that he was able to cash in during this primary. And obviously, Andy Meisner gave up his seat as treasurer to run for it. So yeah, it was the two heavyweights going at it. But at the end of the day, the one who was the incumbent took that seat and is going to be, looked at as the favorite. I mean, the one thing on the Republican side is, Mike Kowal has been around for a while and he knows how to campaign, and he certainly has put in a lot of elbow grease going to doors. I mean, if that's going to be a possibility come this fall. So he's going to be a really good campaigner, a really tough campaigner. But again, the way the county is trending, you would have to say right now that Dave Coulter would be looked at as the favorite.
Yeah, you think about Brooks Patterson, a Republican, strong Republican, being there for 3 decades, and he passes away, and a Democrat comes in and now is the favorite. It's very telling about the changes that have been happening out in Oakland County.
Yeah, it certainly has. And I think, going into this election, everything that hangs over Republicans can be summed up by the name Donald Trump. I think in an environment where Mike Kowal could run on his record in the House and in the Senate and really focus on the economic issues that Brooks pushed for so many decades, he would have a much better chance. But, the airways are going to be dominated by the presidential election, and really every other candidate is going to struggle to get oxygen, whether it's the U.S. Senate race or the county exec.
What did you think about the campaign Erica Saki put together to come out and win on the Republican side to have a chance to face off with Haley Stevens in Michigan's 11th?
Yeah, again, very impressive and targeted the right group, the right people. He had a very motivated base of supporters who came out. And again, I think his campaign was well run for that primary in that district. And both the 11th and the 8th are going to, be ones that draw national attention. And, the incumbent Democrats are going to have a fight on their hands. It's not going to be that easy, but again, obviously they're going to try to tie the Republicans to Donald Trump and see how that plays out. But that's really going to be the dominating message throughout the November election is where do you stand on Trump? And, it's going to be difficult for Republicans to get their message, their individual policy points out there absent being tied into Donald Trump.
Well, right. And over in the 8th, Alyssa Slotkin is the incumbent. So what is Paul? Is it, how do you say Paul's last name? Jung?
Paul Jung, yes.
Jung, yeah, Paul Jung. So how does Paul Jung and Erica Saki knock off 2 sitting Democrats?
Well, it's about numbers. I mean, so in the eighth, Paul's really going to have to do well in the Rochester Hills area, and then up into the northern section of Oakland County. That's really where the Republican support's going to be. Then he needs to turn out Livingston County, and have that almost be a red wave. If there's a blue wave in Ingham, then that's going to be difficult. But he needs Republican votes in the northern section of Oakland, and then all through Livingston. Looking at the 11th, the area like Novi and Wixom, those areas used to be much more solid on the red side than the blue side. And I think Eric's going to have to go back and try to find those voters in Wixom, find those voters in Novi, South Lyon, that area, and then also try to appeal to some of those Democrats who are Trump supporters. They still are out there. They still exist. And just, it's going to be a ground game. And he's going to have to, both of those candidates are going to have answers for the Trump questions that they know are going to come. But if they can find those, Republican-leaning Democrats, those who have supported Trump last time, and some of those who supported John James in his Senate race last time, that's how they're going to make these races competitive.
Yeah, so John James and Gary Peters, neither one of them had to battle anyone in the primary, but going forward in November, there's a lot of talk on Twitter on who got the most votes in their primary. What do you see happening between those two?
That to me is going to be a sleeper race in the Senate, because most of the national attention will, turn to Arizona or Colorado or Maine, those types of seats. But John James has a nice war chest where he can go out and go toe to toe in terms of ads and support with Gary Peters. And so, again, Gary's going to try to tie him to Trump. And, John James has statements in the past in his last run that will come back and be recycled this go around. But I think, John James is, again, he's going to have to appeal to those, people who are going to support Joe Biden, but also may look at a John James candidacy, and he's going to have to, look at areas like Detroit or Saginaw or in the city of Grand Rapids to find voters that may not necessarily go for Trump, but who would be open to a message from a conservative like John James.
All right, Dennis Darno, we're going to have to leave it there. Thanks for checking in and giving us your take. We appreciate you being on the Mitch Albom Show.
All right, well, thank you for having me. Have a great night.
All right. Let's check in with traffic and Michael Stetz.
This report is sponsored by ExpressPros.com. Mark your calendars. Express Employment Professionals is once again hosting National Interview Day on August 6th. This special event supports hiring as businesses continue to reopen and business ramps back up. Apply online today. Visit ExpressPros.com/interview day to find a location near you.
WJR Traffic First, sponsored by Shelving.com. Celebrate 60 years with Shelving.com, a Michigan family business offering Detroit-made durable Unirack brand pallet racking. Maximize space at your manufacturing facility, warehouse, school, and home. Visit Shelving.com and get 11% off. That's Shelving.com. They rack your world. In the city, some good news. That incident from earlier on 94 eastbound after Harper Avenue, that is now cleared. In Macomb County, an accident on 696 eastbound at DeQuinder that has the left shoulder blocked, traffic moving slowly from Woodward. And in Ingham County, an accident has the right two lanes blocked right now on US 127 northbound after 96. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by the Generous Pour event at the Capitol Grill. WJR Wine Lovers, our friends at the Capitol Grill are excited to announce this year's Generous Pour. For just $28 with dinner, you'll enjoy 7 remarkable varietals from Orin Swift winemaker Dave Finney, wine enthusiast winemaker of the year. Call 248-649-5300 or visit thecapitolgrill.com. Partly cloudy tonight with a low near 60, mostly sunny for Thursday with a high tomorrow of 79. Right now it's 73 degrees. I'm Michael Stetz, WJR News in 1 minute.
The Flint Institute of Arts is a great.
Hey, Dave.
All right, good job. Now, after the top of the hour news, we're going to get into some sports.
And Angelique says her last name Shingalis.
Yeah, Angelique Shingalis. Yep.
Angelique Shingalis.
Yep, and
she's one of my favorite people to follow on Twitter.
Yeah,
she's fun.
She's been around for a good long time, and Big Ten schedule came out today, and A lot of people are not happy with Michigan and Ohio State playing in October.
Yeah, they're not going to be playing in the final game of the year, are they?
No.
That's gonna be a little asterisk in the history books. Maybe Michigan could finally win a game against Ohio State.
Oh,
that'd be nice.
Let's hope so. I mean,
is it 10? How many is it in a row? Is it 10? Maybe
it's been a while.
Oh man, it's been a long while.
Harbaugh needs a win.
Yeah. Yes.
Definitely.
And then State, the coach there, he's got his first year at Michigan State.
Yeah, and they got to come to Michigan.
He got news. He's got to go play in Ann Arbor. That's fun.
Yeah.
I really hope he does well. I hear so many good things about him, but in the stunted season, it's going to be hard to know. They had some tough games. This conference only schedule is.
It's going to be very interesting if they play. I mean,
yeah, and then they you don't get any warm up games against Appalachian State. You're just you're right in it.
Right. Okay.
Let me double check for you. Hey, Rick Hampton. You're the producer.
Okay. Hold on for a second.
All right. What's going on out here? Big dance basketball. I was always with. Wish MSU and Michigan would meet in the final. Oh my gosh, that would be crazy, Clay, if Michigan and Michigan State got to the finals. We've been really lucky with as many times as Michigan and Michigan State have advanced. As far as the Big Ten Conference is tough. By the way, Paul's name is pronounced Young from the last segment. I think we both got it wrong. So we'll remember that for the next time.
Sorry about that, Kevin, for leaving you. Angelique.
All right, you had some work to do.
Angelique is on
us?
the line and ready to go.
All right.
We also had another person that called in. I'll tell you about that a little bit later.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, so we're coming back. All right.
All right.
00. That's 248-814-7600 or online at rhinoshieldmi.com.
Help solve food insecurity in Michigan. Hear thought leaders from across the state on Food First Michigan with Dr. Phil Knight and Jerry Brisson. Sunday nights at 9 on WJR, presented by Farm Bureau Insurance of Michigan and the Food Bank Council of Michigan.
Sitting in for Mitch, here's Kevin Dietz.
Oh boy, sports fans are really, really hoping there will be a football season this year. And there was a little bit of excitement and buzz in the sports world as the Big Ten put out their 10-game conference-only football schedule that's going to begin Labor Day weekend. Some quick takeaways buzzing in social media. First, Michigan State is going to have to play Michigan in Ann Arbor this year. And Michigan and Ohio State are going to face each other on October 24th. That's the first time since 1942 that the rivals will not play at the end of the regular season. That's the quick takeaway. To do a little deeper dive into it, we have our friend Angelique Shengalis. Thanks for joining us on the Mitch Albom Show, Angelique.
Thanks, Kevin. I look forward to discussing the season that may or may not happen. So.
I know. I got to tell you, I love following you on Twitter. You and Wjr picking at each other endlessly is one of my favorite Twitter moments each day, it seems like.
I've been trying to hold off for a little bit. He's struggling with the loss of Jamie Samuelson, as we all are. And,
Yes.
But I will resume when it's time.
It will happen. It is coming. His day is coming. So what was your takeaway? This Commissioner Kevin Warren, his first year. What a first year to take on the Big Ten, huh?
Well, that's a great point, Kevin. I mean, it's been crazy, all the things that he's had to deal with, and from all accounts, and I have not spoken to him personally, but from people who've talked to him, I mean, he's really been on the ball with this. He's been talking to the ADs on a regular basis, if not daily, at least early on in this pandemic. It is daily now. And more recently, he reached out to the student athletes from each school. He had a conference call with them. I believe it was Monday evening with the football representative from each of the 14 schools and another student athlete from each one. And is gauging what their input. And today with the College Athlete Unity Group that is co-founded by one of the players at Michigan, Hunter Reynolds, and a former Michigan player now at Minnesota, Ben St. Just, who issued through the Players Tribune their concerns and their demands, to use that word, it might be a little strong, but in terms of testing and feeling safe going into the season. So Kevin Warren has a lot on his plate, as you said, and he's balanced them all and looking at every angle to this. And I think he's done a really nice job, and they somehow produced a 10-game schedule that looks pretty reasonable in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I had an opportunity to interview him about a month ago or so, and every indication to me anyway was that he's not going to do anything that puts anyone in danger. That he wants games to happen, but only if they can happen safely. And so watching him go forward has been, it's really been nice to see somebody with their priorities in the right spot. And today, it still had that same tone. No guarantee there's going to be sports, but let's talk about the schedule. And so the schedule came out. So what jumped out at you when you saw the schedule?
Well, the two things that you mentioned just a few minutes ago, Kevin. I mean, the Michigan-Ohio State game in Columbus, as was previous scheduled, but on October 24th. And that's just so weird. I can't think of any other way to describe it. I'm always used to that being at the end of the regular season. And then the Michigan State game, switching it, flip-flopping it, which was long overdue. I mean, the last several years, having both schools had their big rivalry games at home or away every other year. And, Michigan State would play Michigan and Ohio State. Michigan would play Michigan State and Ohio State at home. And then the next year, both were on the road. And I think that was a tough sell for the teams, for their season ticket holders and for ticket holders in general. And, not having a premier game each year at their home schedule. So flipping the Michigan State game, having it in Ann Arbor. Now, Michigan State's athletic director has said that it will switch back to East Lansing in 2021. So now they're staggering those games, and it's better for the fans. It's better for the teams playing in this very, very, very tough East Division. So I think it's worthwhile for them to have that extra home game, just in terms of going through the gauntlet in the East. So those are the two things, and then they have their games. I mean, they're going to play Minnesota in the second week. Play for the Little Brown Jug for the first time in 3 years, and then they finish up. They've added Northwestern at the end of the season. So I mean, it looks like a pretty good schedule to me overall, Kevin.
Minnesota's been fun to watch. They have really been getting good under their new coach there, and they get that momentum going, and then all of a sudden something like this happens, and you wonder what it will do for schools. So you talk about during the break, we were just talking about how Harbaugh really needs a win against Ohio State, and maybe this was the year, maybe it will be the year, but it's certainly going to be very different.
Well, it's going to be so different. I mean, they however people want to criticize Michigan for this losing streak they have, are they not preparing enough? Are they preparing? Have they not prepared like they used to in the 90s when they had the advantage in the streak? Whatever. It's still, that's their primary focus, and it's at the end of the season. They go through those 11 games to get to that game, and now they're going to be playing Purdue, Minnesota. They're going to play 5-6 games before they go to Columbus, and then they're going to have to come back. If they lose that game, are they going to be, is it going to be hard to collect themselves after a loss to Ohio State to play Wisconsin, Maryland, and then finish the season at Northwestern? I don't know. It's just, other teams have to play their rivals in the middle of the season too. I mean, that's happened before. It's not unusual, but for this game, it is different. And for the Michigan-Ohio State game, so I've talked to several guys who played in this game, and they all say it's weird, but then they said everything this year is weird. So, why not make a sacrifice this year and hope to get that game in, and no matter when it is in the schedule.
Did they say if it would go back to the end of the season moving forward, or is this an opportunity to break things up for good?
Well, that's a great question, and I would think that it will go back to the traditional spot at the end of the season. I saw that some of the Ohio reporters were talking to Gene Smith, the Ohio State athletic director, and someone suggested that is it possible this could be a prime time game, which hasn't been the case because the Big Ten TV deals is they won't have a game after the 10th week at night unless the schools approve of it, and Michigan and Ohio State certainly don't want to play a night game in late November. When it's so cold, typically so cold. So maybe this is a consideration. Maybe we will see Michigan, Ohio State under the lights on October 24th. That would be kind of fun. But I would imagine, Kevin, it would go back to its traditional spot. And because everybody looks forward to that game, I think, even across the country at the end of the season.
Oh, absolutely. And it looks like they built in a few open weeks in case players need to get healthy. Usually you think about injuries, but here it may be COVID that people need a little break.
Oh gosh, isn't that so strange to even to discuss it? But yeah, I mean, that's one thing Kevin Warren spoke about this morning when he was talking about the schedule on BTN is, you've got this built-in the ability to be flexible, and if there are some situations, then they can, if they have to postpone a game, they've got some open dates. And I just think it's going to be really weird. Like, when do they determine? Let's say Michigan's preparing to play at Rutgers. What if Rutgers has an outbreak that week? When do they notify? So then they have to change gears and start preparing to go play Michigan State. So it's going to be really hard. I was talking to another former player just a little while ago, and he said that it's really there's a rhythm to the football season, and this season is just going to be completely disrupted because no week's going to look like another week. And these guys have a routine. Football players, they practice they meet on Sunday, they practice Monday, they get a day off. They have a set schedule, but nothing doesn't seem like anything this year will be set, and it's always going to be changing, and the players and the coaches are just going to have to roll with it if there is a season.
Yeah, I just want them to play so bad. I don't care who they play. I just want them to suit up and get out there in the field and play. Angelique Shingales, thanks for being on the Mitch Albom Show.
Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it.
All right. Let's take a quick break, check weather and traffic with Michael Stutz.
Thank you very much, Kevin. WJR Traffic First, sponsored by IBEW Local 58 and the National Electrical Contractors Association, NECA. Put the expertise and skill of NECA signatory contractors and IBEW electricians to work on your commercial, public, industrial, or residential construction project. Safety and proper PPE use matter more now than ever. Start safe, stay safe. www.poweringmichigansfuture.com. In Macomb County, an accident on 696 eastbound at DeQuinder that has the left shoulder blocked, traffic moving slowly from 75. In Oakland County, you're moving slowly right now on 75 northbound between 696 and 11 Mile. And in Ingham County, some good news. That incident from earlier on US 127 northbound after 96, that is now cleared. Now WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel.
76, our beautiful high this afternoon with some sunshine and upper 50s tonight. We'll make the upper 70s tomorrow. I'm meteorologist Scott Laurie, more on News Talk 760 WJR.
Did you know that almost...
Good job, Kev.
Thank you, sir.
I hope we have college football this year. We'll see. I don't know. Yes, Clay. Yes, Notre Dame is going to be part of the ACC this year. Yes, because as you know, Al, the conferences are going to conference-only schedules, and Notre Dame doesn't have a conference. But their basketball team is associated with the ACC, so their football team is going to be associated with the ACC too this year. We'll see what happens. But people are not happy about, including Urban Meyer, are not happy about Michigan and Ohio State being moved to October.
Does Notre Dame have their schedule? Because they don't have a league to play in, do they? They're going to play
with the ACC.
Oh, I got you for this year.
And then UConn, also the UConn football team earlier today was the first team in college football to opt out of this season. So they've already canceled their season.
Gotcha.
UConn football, if I'm not mistaken, hold on a second.
Got a minute and a half.
Okay, just waiting for Linda Kenyon to call in here.
All right.
But if I'm not mistaken, I think UConn is Dan Orlovsky. I think he went to UConn, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong.
He did.
Former Lions quarterback and now analyst at ESPN. So that was pretty interesting to see them totally opt out and be done.
Yeah.
So I don't know. My question is, if all the schools are telling their students to stay at home, how are they going to expect student athletes to come play football?
Not going to happen.
That's the only problem.
It's not going to happen.
Meanwhile, I also saw that the NBA,
they could have put Michigan, Ohio State in a bubble, and Michigan State and Penn State in a bubble, in their own bubbles, and then just guaranteed like one great game a week from each.
Right.
Have 10-game schedule, but each team only plays one game for the season.
All right. Okay. Here we're coming back.
Is Linda there?
Not yet. She's not.
Get a Harry starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover. All for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter 6655 at checkout. That's harrys.com, code 6655. Enjoy.
Sitting in for Mitch, here's Kevin Dietz.
We've been talking about football in the Big Ten and whether or not there's going to be a season. And during the break, we were saying, what would you do to see a game? What would you be willing to give up in order to watch your favorite football team? What if they took one team, Michigan and say, Ohio State and put them in a bubble like the NBA is using and allow them to play 1 week. And then the next week, you might have another team like Michigan State versus Penn State, and they're in a bubble. But you only get one game for the season, and which team would you want to play and what would it look like? It seems the more we talk about this and watch this, it seems unlikely that we're going to get to see a college football season, or at least one that's going to last the entire season. And the NFL may be very similar. But we want to get back to talking a little bit of politics. We were talking about the politics locally and what impact it had. But some of the races here in Michigan actually were getting some national attention. And joining us on the line now is Washington correspondent Linda Kenyon to talk a little bit about that. Linda, welcome to the Mitch Albom Show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, so one of our races here in Michigan caught your eye. That's the Rashida Tlaib race. What makes that so special, or what brings that under the national eye?
Well, Rashida Tlaib has made her mark in Congress as a member of what they call the Squad, which is the very progressive members of the Democratic caucus, most specifically the freshman Democrats and 4 women. And so Rashida Tlaib has been extremely outspoken and has been a very productive member of that squad, if you will. And so, not to put too fine a point on it, but she is just one of 2 Muslim women in Congress. So that has been of interest as well. So as a result, everybody was watching very closely to see if she would have re-election chances. And the race that you had yesterday between Tlaib and Brenda Jones was very interesting to us because it looked like it was very close for quite some time, and it was taking a while to count the ballots. So the fact that she emerged victorious is a plus for the squad, if you will, and does keep up that interest in Congress. She is a freshman, an outspoken person, and does make her mark in Congress.
Yeah, Brenda Jones is the city council president in Detroit. She's very popular. And one of the points she was making or trying to make with voters was that Rashida Tlaib spends too much time in Washington fighting with Donald Trump and not enough time in the district taking care of the needs of the people. Do you think that the squad is gaining political power or the ability to keep winning based on fighting with Donald Trump?
You know, it seems that the squad is in fact gaining power. There was a race as well in Missouri that caught our attention, where Cori Bush, she defeated longtime establishment Democrat Representative Lacey Clay. He's served since 2000 in the U.S. Congress. His father held that seat for more than 30 years before him. So it was kind of a political dynasty in the state of Missouri. And the fact that he was ousted in the primary by another progressive, Cori Bush, who they've already said is going to become a member of the, and I quote, the squad, is again very interesting to us to see how the face of Congress seems to be changing in many ways. It started with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in New York when she defeated a longtime establishment Democrat, and it has been gaining prominence ever since.
Yeah, that word progressive was really bandied about here in Michigan yesterday. It seemed like the incumbents were being called not progressive enough, and the challengers were pushing progressive thoughts, needs for change. And in a couple of big elections here locally in Michigan, the incumbents lost. And I'm curious if you're seeing that around the country. Are voters looking for change? Do they want progressive campaigns?
It looks like voters are, in fact, looking for a change, whether that is a response to Donald Trump or just a response to establishment politics in general. Nonetheless, we are seeing that there are many changes going on the national level and in the United States Congress and in the Senate, by the way. But the Congress, the House of Representatives portion of the Congress, seems to be the chamber that is seeing the most changes right now. The Senate has a reputation for being very staid and very traditional. And the House of Representatives, they refer to up here as the People's House, and is actually more directly connected with individual states and individual populations. And so the fact that that body is showing some change before the Senate is really an interesting development, and could be the start of a trend.
We see the president calling out the squad quite often, and I wonder now with Rashida Tlaib and others showing that they have support of the people, if that will be something President Trump wants to do when and if we get to a debate, or if he'll start to back off from the squad a little bit.
The president doesn't like to be challenged, and the squad has no qualms about challenging him directly. So he always has this philosophy that various press secretaries have said during the presidency, that if the president is going to get hit, he's going to hit back. And he has no problem hitting back against the squad. He likes to speak out against them on various occasions. He hasn't done so much of that lately, but I would imagine that if they continue to challenge him, we will be hearing again that the president will punch back.
And I know you're covering the race out in Arizona to finish the late John McCain's Senate term. That's an interesting story. Tell us what's going on out there.
Yeah, that is an interesting story. Right now, the person who is filling out the remainder of John McCain's term in the U.S. Senate is Martha McSally. She's a former fighter pilot. She is running against the astronaut and also a former fighter pilot and husband of Gabrielle Giffords, the Arizona congresswoman who was shot actually while meeting with constituents. And so he has been very outspoken in terms of issues including gun control. And so this race right now between the Democrat and the incumbent, who is just basically filling out the seat of the late John McCain, is a very interesting race. And it does show, to speak about what we were discussing just a moment earlier, to speak about the changes in the electorate and in the representation of the electorate. It does show that there are some changes within various states. Arizona was considered a true red state, and it now may be purple, maybe even turning blue, because the Democratic challenger, Mark Kelly, the astronaut and also former fighter pilot, it seems to be gaining a lot of attention and a lot of ground, and may in fact defeat Republican Senator Martha McSally.
So you have a hero versus a hero to replace a hero out in Arizona.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a really interesting race. Absolutely.
That's going to be fun to watch. All right. We appreciate you being on the show, Linda Kenyon. Thanks as usual. Great job. Thanks for joining us on the Mitch Albom Show.
Thank you.
All right. When we come back, we're going to talk with Dave Burkett of the Detroit Free Press, and we're going to talk about the Detroit Lions and the Instagram post that Matthew Stafford's wife put out there. We'll also take your calls. You can give us a call at 877-44-MITCH, 877-44-MITCH. Right now, we're going to check traffic with Michael Stetz.
This report is sponsored by California Closets. Now through August 31st, save up to 20% on any California closet system in one of their beautiful light-colored finishes. Call 248-624-1234 today to arrange your complimentary design consultation, or visit them online at californiaclosets.com.
In Pontiac, road construction has 2 lanes closed on M59 westbound between Paddock Street and the Woodward Loop North. That's scheduled through 7 p.m. on Friday. Plan on delays. In Macomb County, an accident on 696 eastbound at DeQuinder that has the left shoulder blocked. In Wayne County, road construction on the Southfield northbound at Michigan Avenue. That single-lane closure is scheduled through early November. Plan on delays there. Now, WJR Weather first from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Chris Furniture. Chris Furniture has special pricing on CR Lane custom upholstery, American-made furniture. Order your sofa, love seat, sectional, and chairs now and enjoy for the fall. Chris Furniture open 10 to 4 by appointment only in Livonia on the corner of Plymouth and Farmington Roads, or chrisfurnitureinc.com. Partly cloudy tonight with a low near 60. Mostly sunny for Thursday with a high tomorrow of 79. Right now it's 73 degrees. I'm Michael Stetz, WJR News in 1 minute.
The Mother Waddles mission
There he is.
All right, Kev. Coming down to the home stretch here.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Yep.
Our Facebook friends are chatting amongst themselves, so that's good. They keep each other entertained and
I see that.
have debates and all kinds of good stuff. We're happy to have them checking in.
Thoughts on COVID-19 versus other types of deaths, suicides, heart attacks, strokes, etc. Well, for a while there, we were only hearing about COVID deaths. We were not hearing about any other type of deaths. So
What? People are dying from something other than COVID?
I mean,
you know, the hospitals make more money if you die of COVID, so you don't be surprised.
For a long time, that's all we were hearing about.
It's been hard to get into the news unless you have COVID-19 as part of the story. Which this next story has a little bit of COVID-19 in it, a little bit of sports, but a little COVID-19.
Right, a little bit of a false positive test.
Oh, and
what's up, Patrick?
Hey, Patrick,
Hopefully
what's
you're
up?
having a good vacation.
We also have our silent majority out there on Facebook. We've been getting about 1,000 views on Facebook for the show this week each night, which is good.
It's pretty good.
It's not bad considering you're watching radio.
Watch us, especially with someone like me.
Put up more photos.
Yeah. Wow. Jeez. Unbelievable. It's the future, Kev. It's the future of radio.
Yes.
Yes, Clay. A little Matthew Stafford. That's correct. You're a Lions quarterback.
Stafford, man, he's amazing. Playing with a broken back last year. His wife goes through a brain tumor surgery. He got twins, and then another pregnancy. He's got 4 kids under the age of 6 or something like that.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm amazed he keeps going.
The Lions' offense was just rolling last year before he got injured too. I mean,
he's great. Some people complain about him. I've always loved him.
Very talented.
I liked him at Georgia, and he's just tough, and he hangs in there, and he's a fighter. Those when they mic him up on those whatever those NFL mic the quarterback things are, those are so great.
Those NFL Films does a really nice job. The game against Cleveland, the game against Dallas.
I think we've been lucky. I think we've been really lucky to have him.
Yeah, he's been good. A lot of times he gets maybe unfairly blamed for some stuff that necessarily wasn't his fault, but he's still a very talented quarterback.
Since Barry Sanders explained how it works, and they get rid of all the expensive linemen, and just go with the flashy names that sell jerseys, it doesn't surprise me, that we haven't won anything. It's
and you never know. You never know when that's going to come. I mean, the law of odds suggests that one day, one season, it will be the Lions.
I have a friend. I offer him every year 100 to 1 odds, but he's got to bet $1,000. He's got to bet $1,000.
There you go.
He won't do it. He won't take it. Got to win the Super Bowl. Got to go all the way.
I'll be right back in a minute.
Yeah, you're right, Patrick. He's got to work to afford that family. They sold their house. They had a beautiful house, and they either have it up for sale or they sold it. But I think they were worried about the pool, that all those little kids and having a pool in the backyard as well as a lake in the backyard. So I think they're going to find some dry land to raise their kids on. Go Lions. I would love to see them get to a Super Bowl in any season, even a pandemic season. This town would absolutely go nuts. 1954, last time they won. I think that was the year my oldest brother was born. It's been a long time. It'll be about 62, 3 years, something like that.
Can take care of it all. Schedule your free estimate at CertaPro.com.
Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated. They're right here in our community.
That's Certa with a C. CertaPro Painters, proven and trusted experts in painting.
Sitting in for Mitch, here's Kevin Dietz.
After a false positive COVID-19 test put quarterback Matthew Stafford for the Detroit Lions on the NFL's injured reserve COVID list, life has been terrible, according to his wife Kelly. In an Instagram post, she said, "It's been somewhat of a nightmare. I've been losing my mind because of how my family has been treated since my husband was put on the COVID IR. Even after we knew it was a false positive, our school told us the kids were not allowed back. I was approached in a grocery store and told I was endangering others. My kids were harassed and kicked off a playground. I was told I needed to wait in my car when trying to pick up food, and people closest to us had to get tested just so they could go back to work." That's Kelly Stafford on Instagram talking about her husband, Matthew Stafford, who had a false positive COVID-19 test and was put on the injured reserve COVID list. Joining us now to talk about this and the Lions and football is our friend Dave Burkett of the Detroit Free Press. Dave, thanks for being on the Mitch Albom Show.
You got it. How are you?
I'm doing great. Kelly Stafford has never been shy on social media. She's often given her thoughts. How is this being received out there in the sports world?
Well, look, I mean, I think everyone can understand how she's feeling, right? It's got to be frustrating when you get a false positive and, you think that you've done everything right to socially distance and keep away from the virus. But I think as she pointed out in her post too, you can't fault some of the people for, feeling the way they do, right? If you know that, or if you believe that someone has tested positive, you want that person to stay far away from you given what's going on. So I don't think anyone faults the general public for their reaction. The question that I had is, and this is certainly, small compared to the everything going on with the virus in the world, but how this impacts, football. I mean, if this would have happened during a game week, Matthew Stafford would have had to miss a game, and for no real reason because he wasn't positive. Nothing the NFL can do. You have to sit him out in that situation, but just a sign that we're going to have to live with this all season.
So what is the NFL saying about the testing procedures? I guess there's nothing they can do. They look for signs, temperatures, things like that. But that when they're testing, if you get a positive, you get a positive, even if it's a false one.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think the Lions in particular and the NFL really have done, extremely well in setting up their guidelines and the protocols that people have to pass to be able to get into the building. I mean, there's daily testing going on right now. They're trying to keep essential people apart from non-essential employees, for lack of a better word. But again, this is just probably in all walks of medicine, but especially now with something as new as the coronavirus, you're going to have false positives and false negatives for that matter. And it's just a matter of, we've seen it in the NBA, the NFL now, sort of all over. Whenever you have someone that tests positive, you have to keep them away from the group for the betterment of everyone.
So what's happening day to day at practice or in meetings? What's actually how are they trying to prevent catching COVID?
Yeah, well, first of all, on the field, not much is going on right now. The Lions are doing strength and conditioning workouts. They have meetings. A lot of those are taking place virtually, and they're going through walkthroughs, so no real football activities yet. But what they're doing is, look, every single day when the players go down there, there's a trailer set up outside of the Lions practice facility. Players have to take a coronavirus test every day, a COVID test. Those results are usually available within 24 hours. The first sign that someone tests positive, as we saw with Matthew Stafford, they're sort of removed from the group, just to prevent the spread. And look, from the Lions standpoint, they've kept they've split their 90-man roster into essentially 4 groups to try to protect people, right? If there's a positive test with one group after they've been in the building, the other 60 players essentially are immune from that. They haven't been in contact with that person, so they're doing a good job of doing socially distance there. There's a lot of, like I said, virtual meetings going on. They've redesigned the locker room, the meal room. They've done a host of different things to the building itself to try and keep everyone safe.
We've watched in the NBA, the bubble has been fairly successful. In baseball, there's no bubble and there's lots of problems. As you look at those two sports and then you think about football, what do you think the chances are that a season's going to take place? I suspect it will start, but what do you think is going to happen?
No, I think you're right there. I mean, the NFL is going to do everything it can to play the games and certainly get the season started. And there's a lot of money on the line, so I understand that. And look, all these guys that are taking part, players, coaches, everyone, they're adults. I mean, you take some risk in whatever walk of life going back to work right now. So I think there's a will to get this thing done, but I do think ultimately it's going to look a lot like Major League Baseball, where maybe there's some postponements or there's some fits and starts, or you lose a good chunk of your roster maybe for a week. The NFL has taken some steps to bolster rosters to make sure teams have more players available for them during game weeks, but none of that is ultimately going to prevent a spread like we've seen in Major League Baseball. So teams and coaches and players, everyone is relying on a lot of everyone to manage their own risk, just keep out of harm's ways. If they do that, there's a chance this thing we can get through it, but if not, I think we will have some outbreaks like in baseball.
And I suspect that fans want to see football so bad they may not even mind if it ends up being second or third or fourth string players playing the game because so many people are out with COVID. I think they just want to see people suit up and play. Dave, thanks for being on the Mitch Albom Show. We appreciate your time.
You got it, Kevin. We'll talk to you again.
All right. Take care. Be safe. We're going to take a short break, check in with traffic and weather with Michael Stetz, and then come right back.
This report is sponsored by Everstream, the business-only fiber network. At Everstream, the business-only fiber network, they believe business deserves better. Everstream's full-service approach to business connectivity delivers the speed and reliability that businesses demand. Everstream, faster fiber, better business.
In Pontiac, road construction has 2 lanes closed on M59 westbound between Paddock Street and the Woodward Loop North. That's scheduled through 7 p.m. on Friday, so plan on delays. And in Macomb County, an accident on 696 eastbound at DeQuinder. That's blocking the right shoulder. Now WJR Weather first from the Weather Channel.
We're in the 70s this afternoon. Very comfortable forecast here for early August. 76 degrees today and 59 tonight. I'm meteorologist Scott Laurie. More on News Talk 760 WJR.
Have you been told you need spine surgery?
Good job there, Kev.
Thank you, sir. So you ready to join us?
Yes, Eric will probably be joining in too for the last segment here.
All right, nice. Welcome. Oh, nice.
What up, fellas? Jason.
Look at Dave, dude. Oh, hey. I'm not gonna get too close to the control center over
That's
here.
Right.
Oh, you guys aren't social distancing there. What's going on over there?
No, we're social
like a party.
We're social distancing.
Tomorrow,
very safe here at the studio.
Nice.
I'm doing the podcast tomorrow, but
we got the live show.
What's the live show?
Hey, were you working that morning that I had to drive in?
Yeah, I got to be.
Oh yeah, remember?
Oh my god! I was thinking about that the other day.
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe you just have a best of show just queued up, ready to go, and just say, forget it, man.
That's a good question. I don't know if Paul W.
We're gonna have to ramp ours up again.
I don't know if they ever do a best of Paul W.
Well, they should just queue up any old best of.
They do best of for other stuff. I don't know if they ever do a best of for Paul W. though.
They should. He has enough.
I can't take baseball right now. I'm getting
generic guests that
I mean.
Put something together.
Oh, they can.
Yeah.
I know.
We're going to.
Hard to say.
Are back,
I don't know.
Phillies are back
it's a good
today.
question.
Cardinals have won for a while. They can and
Hard
they
to say.
probably will, my friend.
I mean, I just don't see how.
Yeah, you're right,
I know,
Patrick.
I mean,
Sports has proven what works and what doesn't with
get it.
COVID-19.
really a big
Basketball
football
bubble
season
with
if
no
Michigan and
outbreaks.
Ohio State
NHL,
play each other at the
baseball having trouble. Football could have trouble.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you can bubble the whole NFL.
Well,
You
even
can probably bubble a team though.
I thought about maybe they just play in domes, but I don't know. Hard to say if it would work or not. I'm not sure. I don't know if it would work if you did that. There's so many players that are part of a football team, so much staff, so much people, so many people that travel with the team.
We're going to lose
So
47-2 anyway, but
His brother was just saying, "Oh,
that's true. That's true, Patrick. I do have a spray bottle of cleaner if anyone gets close. That is very true. Wipes in case we're like encased in a plastic casing. You can't see it.
They do an entertainment.
but they don't make
We're like in our own little bubble here,
spread.
keeping us nice and safe here.
Including the bands. You could do that.
Happy Holiday Friday. So you have heard some best ofs for Paul W. Okay, Clay. All right.
There you go.
There you go. You know better than I do. All right, we're coming back here soon.
All right.
VantagePointSoftware.com for terms, conditions, and privacy policy.
To say we're in some unusual times would be an understatement. As businesses and other operations start to reopen, you may want to start by disinfecting. So who do you turn to? The first call I'd make would be to Rose Pest Solutions. Rose has been protecting homes and businesses against pests and disease for 160 years. Their new disinfecting service, something not many companies have, safeguards all your customers and all your employees. Rose's broad-spectrum treatment effectively eliminates bacteria and viruses, including SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19. They hit everything: doors, knobs, sinks, and virtually all high-touch hard surfaces. And the disinfecting process can be scheduled around your needs. This pandemic is our new reality for a while, so you might as well call on the best to help protect your people, your business, and yourself. For disinfection, Rose is the solution. Call Rose at 800-966-ROSE or go to rosepestsolutions.com to schedule a disinfecting appointment.
Sitting in for Mitch, here's Kevin Dietz.
It's 6:47 on Wednesday, August the 5th. The lines are open, 877-44-MITCH. If you want to call and join us, you're welcome. You can also call and text us. The number is the same, 877-44-MITCH. And this week, we've been saving the last segment for Producer's Choice on the topic. And joining us now is Eric and Dave. What have you two come up with for today's Producer's Choice?
He has cooked up a great one today, a really, really good one.
Nice.
So there was a story that came out earlier today that I sent to you that came from Bud Light. And what they're going to do is they're going to have a contest for two teams in the NFL and their kickers, which is the Denver Broncos and the Detroit Lions. And whichever kicker kicks the longest field goal is going to win the contest this year between Matt Prater for the Lions and Brandon McManus for the Broncos. And then Bud Light gives that city free beer.
Free beer. That's a great prize.
I don't know if it's going to be like in the little refrigerators that they did for like Cleveland a couple years back. I'm not sure how that's going to go. But as you know, Matt Prater does have the NFL record for the longest field goal in NFL history when he was playing in Denver of 64 yards.
Well, he's been booting the ball for the Lions as well. I had him 1 year in the last couple of years for my fantasy team that had a kicker, and man, I was pleased. He was bombing 50 plus yard field goals on a regular basis. I don't know much about Denver's kicker, but I imagine he's got a pretty good leg.
I've taken Prater a couple years in a row now. He's definitely the guy to have. So it's nice.
So McManus has kicked a 73-yard field goal in practice, put out in Denver. And he tweeted out that he was going to break the record this year. And then Matt Prater retweeted and said, well, then that should be the challenge. And that's how this whole thing started. But in all the time that McManus has been with the Broncos, he has never kicked a field goal longer than Prater when Prater's been with the Lions, at least during the regular season. So far, Prater has the upper hand.
Well, and some of it comes down to the coach's philosophy too, right? And where you're at in the game, and is it worth at the end of the half to try and boot a 65-yarder or 62-yarder? The Lions seem to I bet the Lions have more opportunities to kick field goals than Denver does.
It's exactly what Dave said when he came out with this, was that the Lions are going to have a lot more opportunities.
I read your mind.
But I think it'll be very interesting because, as you know, Denver with the thin air, it gives McManus a definite advantage.
Oh, that's true. I didn't really think about that.
Over Prater, even though Prater's in a dome.
Yeah, Prater's in a dome, no wind. It's, it definitely is an advantage. But look, man, this is Prater. He's got the record. It's his until, someone can beat it. And I don't think it's happening.
And it was interesting because before Prater broke the record, he had tied the record at 63, which another Denver kicker had Jason Elam, and then a former Detroit Lions kicker had that back in the day, which was 63 yards, and he was the one that had the block foot.
Yeah,
so that was
like Dempsey back.
Tom Dempsey, correct?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, we're going back a ways.
So that was the old record. So I think it'll be interesting. I just thought it was kind of cool that they just came down to two teams.
So originally was the deal just if the Denver kicker could break the record, then Denver would get free beer, and then it evolved into a challenge?
I just think it evolved as a challenge when Brandon McManus sent out, he fired the first, shot, if you will, and said that he was going to break the record. And then he sent it to, I guess he tweeted at Bud Light, and then Matt Prater responded. So then this is what started this competition. So this will be a kind of a cool little competition that will be part of the season to see which kicker will have the longer field goal during the season. He doesn't have to beat the record. He just has to kick a field goal that's longer than Prater.
A little side note there, Matt Prater's best friend is Sam Martin, who was the punter and holder here in Detroit, and now Sam Martin is in Denver. So I don't know if he's going to be holding on the kicks or not, but maybe if he is, Sam Martin may be able to pull the ball away a little like Lucy and Charlie Brown there, and make sure that everyone in Detroit gets a free beer and prevent the Denver kicker from winning this thing.
Before he goes out for field goals, he's going to check and see what Matt's done so far that day, and if it's got like a 55-yarder, 56 or above, it's against the rules for him. Got to help out Detroit.
I would be very disappointed if that was true, if that was going to happen.
By the way, if you can't tell, Dave Rieger is a diehard Denver Broncos fan.
I am a big Denver Broncos fan. Yes,
he wants the Broncos to get. But Dave, you live in Detroit, so you want the free beer.
I do live in Detroit. That is true. It is a. I have lived in Detroit my whole life, but I am also a big Denver Broncos fan, and I've been a big Denver Broncos fan since I was like 10.
Yeah, this feels like a conflict of interest to me. Really.
Wow.
So maybe I have to remove myself from this conversation. I don't know.
So you're actually rooting for Denver to win on the longest field goal, not the most field goals or the most points, or
it's a tough choice because Eric makes a great point. If Denver wins, then I'm not going to see any of the free beer because I'm here in Detroit. So it's kind of a problem. Although I'm a big Denver Broncos fan and I'd like to see every kick made by McManus, no matter how long it is. Maybe we root for all the field goals to be good, but maybe we root for Prater to kick the longer one just so Detroit can win the free beer. I don't know.
I pulled up this stat. It says Prater is 32 of 34 for more than 50 yards since 2014 and 84 of 88 when lining it up from closer than 40 yards. 32 of 34 for 50 yarders or better. I don't know how many per season they get, but that'll be interesting to see if they, how long the kick is. You want to bring Mike into the conversation? Mike called in to talk a little bit about Kelly Stafford. Mike, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I don't know if I'm missing the point, but when you're public, you find out immediately whether you have COVID or not, and so does the public. Private person, it's a medical thing and nobody else knows.
No, the problem was that he didn't have COVID. He tested positive, but it was a false positive, and so he went on the injured reserves, and everybody in the world just assumed that he was positive because he tested positive, but in fact he wasn't positive. His next 2 tests were negative, but everyone was treating the Stafford family as if he was positive. And Kelly Stafford was pointing out what it's like, if you're if you're in a family where someone has tested positive. She was having a hard time, her and her kids. But it wasn't that the results were put out there. It was that people misunderstood what the results were, that he had tested positive, but ultimately was not positive and has never had COVID.
But HIPAA doesn't broadcast yours or my tests out there, whether they're positive or negative. And being in the public eye, they knew immediately that his was quote unquote false positive. And yet, yes, people don't understand and they're all paranoid.
Yeah, the NFL put the information out correctly. The public just misunderstood it. Thanks for calling, Mike. Let's check in with Gary. Gary, welcome to the show.
Okay, thank you. Have a good one.
All right, Gary, we got less than a minute. Gary's got us on hold.
Gary's doing some drive-through or something.
Yeah, he's probably waiting to get on and then when we went to him, he was next up in the he was probably getting that go through beer, thinking that Prater's not going to get the kick done, and he's got to get out there and buy one for himself.
Sorry, Gary. You got to be ready to go when we come to you. Come on.
Yeah. That's all right. Well, Dave, I'm willing to put a little side bet with you that Prater will win this thing. He's been very consistent for long field goals, and so I'll take Prater if you want to take your Bronco.
Right, I'll take McManus. What's the wager?
I guess it'll be that free beer that beer that everybody's supposed to get for free. So
Yeah.
At least if we don't know how Bud Light's going to distribute these beers, at least one of us will get a beer out of this deal.
Okay. Sounds like
Eric, you're going to be the judge of all this, right?
I will be the middleman. Absolutely. As long as you guys can grease it here too. If I get a free beer, who knows? Maybe someone will win.
Okay.
There you go. I love it. All right. Well, it was a great show. Thanks for all the guests who came on today. We appreciate that. And we will have a full show for you again tomorrow, starting at 5:00. Right now, we're going to check in with traffic and weather and Michael Stetz.
This report is sponsored by T-Mobile. Now that T-Mobile and Sprint have merged, T-Mobile's network.
All right. There you go. Speaking of Paul W., there he was in the commercial. That's right. We should just play the best of Paul W. commercials. All right. Dave, thanks for your help today. Are you with us, Dave? My all alone. Hello, Dave. All right. Well, I don't know if Dave can hear us or not, but Facebook, thanks for showing up. We appreciate you guys checking in with us today, and we'll be back tomorrow. All right. Have a good night. As they say, what do they say? We got to go. All the plants will die. Something.
That's right. Stripes.
All the plants are going to die.
Can't grow. All the plants are going to die.
See you tomorrow.
That's right. Bye, guys.